Now, for his assessment, we welcome along three-time winning America's Cup tactician Tom Whidden, who was the brilliant mastermind with Dennis Conner's wonderful victories. Tom Whidden, your assessment of what you've seen so far halfway through the race one of America's Cup 2007.
Well, Peter, I was very impressed by Team New Zealand's poise at the start. Did a great job getting the side they wanted. Had nice separation between the two boats. Big cheer for Dean Barker and Terry Hutchinson there. About first third of the weather leg, I think there was better pressure to the right and a little bit of a right shift off the starting line, so advantage Team New Zealand at that point. About a third of the way into the beat, maybe not even quite that much, the winds slowly started going back to the left a little bit and the pressure started evening out, and you have to give the advantage to Malinghi at that point. And then very close for a while, sort of saw them go along for quite a long period on port tack. After they tacked on to port, fairly even, then all of a sudden it seemed like the left started coming in, and the left was advantaged. Honestly, I didn't see a lot of difference in the beat. Looked to me like Team New Zealand can hang into there. Don't forget that everybody was touting Alinghi in this kind of breeze over Team New Zealand all along, and Team New Zealand should enjoy a little bit less breeze. At the weather mark, the last couple moves, as James Spithall said, Team New Zealand did a nice job sort of getting back into the race. Then downwind, I expected them to gain a little bit on Alinghi, but as you saw, Alinghi sailed away, really got a little bit more breeze down at the bottom of the run, and have a pretty decent lead right now.
Do you think that was the key? Because it was 80 metres for so long, Tom, as though they were tied together off the wind. In fact, Team New Zealand got it down to 70, and you just think a little bit more pressure towards the end of that run under Spinnaker was the factor how they were able to get out a bit more.
Well, no question the wind built a little bit at that end of the run, PJ, and I think you would have thought Team New Zealand would sail into them a little bit, but it did seem like Alinghi liked the more wind. So, again, that sort of leads me to believe that the word we've been hearing on the docks about Alinghi's prowess or speed in the breeze is really true. It looks like once it's 12, 13, and lower, Team New Zealand's going to be very competitive. That's my guess, and it looks to me like over 14, Alinghi's really strong.
That's the analysis of Tom Whidden, 3 times a winner of the America's Cup as tactician for Dennis Conner. Right, let's go back to James Spittle. What are the options now? First, New Zealand, what have they got to do to close the game?
Well, it's as we've seen, it's a very, very steady wind direction, so there's nothing big in wind shifts. It's going to slowly start to see some tacking and try and grind their way back into the race. It's, you know, Alinghi does have a comfortable margin, around 90 to 100 metres, but it's still a long race to go, and the guys have, you know, they're all very positive-minded, and I'm sure they're going to just keep working away and try and get back into this race.
Meanwhile, what would you expect Alinghi be doing? We can hear Brad Butterworth talking with his team, and it's part tactics but also part encouragement, quite obviously, as we can hear, is his style. But what are the key things that they've got to do to hold on to the lead?
Well, I think you're seeing Alinghi now. They're now crossing over to the right-hand side to get the starboard advantage. But I think we're going to see them keep the race pretty close, try not to give too much separation between the two boats, and really keep it tight. We've seen the boat handlings being very strong at both boats, boat speeds very close. So with an advantage like this, I'd look to see Brad keep the race pretty tight and really just try and stay between the Kiwis and the top mark.
There was a lot of speculation that Alinghi was off the boat handling pace and sail handling pace, if you like, in contrast to the day after day crucible of competition from the Louis Vuitton.
There was a lot of talk of that, and no doubt, you know, obviously that's one thing the defender has, that disadvantage coming into the racing. They just aren't battle hardened like the other teams. But look, from what we've seen now, that certainly isn't the case. They're such an experienced group, and a lot of the guys who were part of the winning team from the last campaign are on the boat. So I think we're seeing two very, very high-level teams at play here.
Meanwhile, let's get back to the position you know so well as on the helm. And we talked about what a huge day this was for Ed Baird, moving into the boots of Russell Coutts. And because we know Dean Barker has been going so well in the starts particularly, I guess now Ed Baird's got out of it and he's in front, he'll be able to relax a little more, do you think?
I think so. And, you know, just looking at the body language on board Alinghi, Ed and Brad, you know, Brad really portrays a sort of a relaxed atmosphere. And I think Ed's now just starting to find his rhythm. The boat's sailing well, working with Murray and Simon and, you know, just getting back into what he knows, and that's sailing the boat well.
At one stage, though, it was Alinghi at plus 100 metres, maybe out to 120, 130. It's now down to 67 metres. Team New Zealand still right in this, Jimmy Spittle.
Still right in it, PJ. And like I said, it's a long way to go. You know, the legs are up to 3.5 miles long. Breeze is steady, but certainly the forecast that I've had is the breeze is meant to die down a little bit and maybe go a little lighter as they approach the shore to the final run on the downwind. So it's far from over, and already we're seeing the gap closing.
Team New Zealand are closing the gap. They're grinding back into it in this race 1 of the 32nd America's Cup.
Leg number 3, race 1 of the America's Cup. And Emirates Team New Zealand are still trailing Alinghi, the defenders of the Cup. But it's only a matter of 50 metres the difference. So this is not stretched out to be any one-boat race at all. This has been competitive. Emirates Team New Zealand at the end of leg number 2 were about 180 metres adrift, trailed by 20 seconds at the second mark. But they have managed to close it up. Here's a summary of the stats on this leg number 3, Cameron. The average speeds, again, this was the downwind leg, and Switzerland were slightly faster, which will surprise many because of all the pre-race talk.
Yeah, and remembering this is just an average over the entire leg. The interesting part there was the Switzerland were a little faster, but then also sailed slightly more distance. So maybe that means they just sailed a slightly higher, we'd call a higher mode than Team New Zealand. So they sail a faster, but they sail closer to the wind, which makes them sail a further distance. That might all end up being the two boats are pretty similar. You know, if you can sail faster, higher, lower, slower, you might get to the bottom mark at exactly the same time.
Getting some activity now in leg number 3. Brad Butterworth's comments coming out loud and clear from Alinghi. Their lead is a couple of boat lengths.
So Team New Zealand made a pretty significant gain at the bottom of this second upwind leg. Now I think we'll see more of our standard match racing attacking duel here, with Team New Zealand trying to keep gaining in on Alinghi, and Alinghi will be just trying to keep bouncing them out to the left.
Gosh, when you look at that experience on board there, you see Grant Loretz down there, upwind trimmer, and a man who has so much experience. So we know about Simon Daubney and Warwick Fleury, who are a couple of the greats in this particular skill of sailing, and yet people like Loretz certainly hold their own against that sort of elite company. So Team New Zealand have got fantastic crew.
Yeah, there's nothing in the two crews we've got going on here.
I think they come again.
Right throughout bow to stern, they're very, very evenly matched.
What's the pack? People will be already asking, what's the pack that Ed Beard is wearing? Clearly containing some equipment to do with his what he's got standing out from his face. It's not just communication gear, is it?
No, he's running a heads-up display on his sunglasses, so he'll have some of the relevant numbers. It might be the times to ley lines or things that they don't normally have posted on the mast. We've seen shots of the masts of the boats. You can see the yellow display there on Team New Zealand just underneath the boom. They've got 6 or 7 displays down there with information ranging from your boat speed, your target boat speed. It's the boat speed that you should be sailing in that wind. Your true wind angle, your apparent wind angle, the wind direction, your heading, and how much load is on the runner. You can't have everything you want. And looks like Ed Beard's gone for, he wanted to have a little bit more information all the time rather than having to ask for it from the navigator, which you quite often hear. So maybe it's time to lay lines and things that he's constantly got. So that piece of kit that he's got off his sunglasses has to be powered by something, and that's probably what's sitting in his little Camelback there. And maybe he's also using that as a hydration system as well. It's very difficult when you're driving these boats to get the opportunity to drink, and it's very hot out here. We're well into the 30 degrees every day in Valencia now. It's very important to keep hydrated.